Welcome to Torah Smash, the podcast for nerdy Jews, where our lives of Jewish learning collide with our love of nerd culture. I am the creator and co-host, Barak Malkin. Joining me are my co-hosts,
Ethan Lane Miller.
And RDY, Rabbi David Young.
In each episode, the host will lead a discussion of what we lovingly call a Torah Smash, which we have defined as a beautiful collision of one thing from the world of Judaism with another from nerd culture. The other co-hosts don't know the topics being presented, so try and guess the pairing along with them. Today's host is me. So the topic I'm starting with today is probably my favorite word in Jewish culture. It's the word Mensch. And in popular culture, Mensch has come to mean, quote, good person. But the direct translation is just, quote, person. That's it. Just person. Meaning that everyone should act and behave in that way. So have at it. What do you think is the nerd culture piece that I'm trying to match with the definition of the word Mensch?
That's all we get?
I can give a little bit more, I guess. Like it's the idea. Well, I guess I'm going to dive into it with some of the other stuff, but the whole concept of just, people say, oh, they're such a Mensch, and to them, it means that they're a good person. But the idea is that that's just should be who you are, because it means person, that every person should be a Mensch. And it's become this meaning of just a good person. When really, that's just who we're supposed to be. It's people.
So the nerd culture of just be a Mensch.
Mm-hmm.
Hercules.
Nope. Good guess. That's a nice guess.
Well, similarly, I was thinking Mulan, like you said, like be a person, like be a man.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a nice one.
That's a good one.
No,
Little sexist, but okay.
Oh,
well, I also like the translation is man, but I'm using the word person because that's more appropriate. Nope. Any other guesses?
we get a lifeline.
Sure. You can ask RDY.
I need a clue.
A clue. It is the thing I'm connecting to has both a long-standing history, but I'm using it from something much more recent.
The Bible. You want to talk about the Bible? Or as we
that'd be the
say,
Jewish that'd be the Jewish connection. What's the nerd connection?
Something long-standing. Would it be comic books?
It is comic book related.
Right, RDY, I did my part.
Would it be like the way Marvel Comics gives their superheroes regular life problems?
It is a Marvel comic.
Spiderman.
Yeah, that's right. Today's topic will be the recent record-breaking movie, Spider-Man No Way Home. So I think it's safe to say that at this point, spoiler alerts ahead if you have not yet seen Spider-Man No Way Home. So I've got a few discussion points for us to talk about, and we can jump around as the people have other ideas. For those that are not watching, Ethan has put up the applause icon on his Zoom for those that cannot see that. All right, so let's start with...
Also, the Jewish, because, you could have a congregants named the Spidermans.
Have you ever had a congregant named Spiderman?
Have you ever talked to Mr. Spiderman?
He's the immediate past president.
Jack Spiderman.
Jack Spiderman. All right, so let's start. I'm going to start this conversation with Aunt May's work at the F.E.A.S.T Community Center. So Norman Osborn comes to her, and even though Peter is worried about who he is because he was just attacked on the bridge, Aunt May says, "This is what we do. We help people." And no descriptor of the person, just that we're supposed to help people. And so I'm taking it sort of from the other side. A lot of times people talk about it as like a self-descriptor, a Mensch. I'm talking, let's focus on other people in this sense, right? She said, it doesn't matter if he, if he's done something wrong, look at him. He obviously needs help. Like he is still a person. Good, bad, doesn't matter. A person. We need to help him.
Plus, she identified the illness that was inherent in Norman Osborn. He he was sick. The serum messed with his brain and made him go crazy and split personalities. Like he
but
he
she
was
didn't know that.
right, but she did see that he was sick. She didn't know that his other personality was evil, but
he also came, right? He said, I saw Spider-Man on the flyer and I thought he could help me, right? He came looking for help.
Which could have been a ruse.
I was actually about to ask, do you think, although I suppose from her perspective, it wouldn't matter like what the intent was.
No, she said, this is what we do. We help people, period. Doesn't matter. We help people. I love it.
And that became the driving force for a lot of the rest of the movie.
Which is why I chose this movie. I think this is the theme pretty much throughout. Just you have to be a person, a mensch.
Well, and in all Spider-Man comics, I mean, like long before the movies came out, long before even the Tobey Maguire movies came out, I was a big fan of the line, "With great power comes great responsibility." And my friend Cap, who I mentioned in the last episode, used to play Captain America and Spider-Man at a restaurant we worked at called Marvel Mania in Universal Studios. So here's another
you were rabbi waiter
hash mark on my nerd list. This was pre-rabbiing, but he used to say that all the time, dressed up as Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility, and he would go to the tables to make sure the kids were eating their green vegetables.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump. I had that for like later, but I'm gonna jump to that one. So like as you in this movie, we get the iconic line about responsibility from Marissa Tomei's Aunt May. With great power, there must also come great responsibility. It's a great line, and there's been others that dive into just the basics of it. Like if you have the power to do something, then you have the responsibility to do something, right? So which is I like the mathematical equation, great power, great responsibility, cross off both greats, power, responsibility. And we all have the power to do something, right? And talking about a mensch, a lot of the examples people will share are like holding the door for someone, letting someone borrow a pencil, returning a shopping cart to the corral instead of leaving it in the middle of the parking lot. Like, I think this piece, just having the power, means you have the responsibility, is what a mensch is. I think that's like
this makes me think of, when we're connecting things Jewishly, it makes me think of one of my favorite quotes from F.E.A.S.T, which is essentially translates to wisdom of the elders, and it's, you're not obliged to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it.
That's amazing. That's exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same thing.
Well, and also from Pirkei Avot is from Hillel in a place where there is no human strives to be one, which that was what I thought of when you started talking about Mensch. That idea that it's just about being a person and this great power. But and also, side note, I absolutely loved that in No Way Home, Aunt May got to say, with great power comes great responsibility, because until that moment, it was an Uncle Ben line.
Yeah.
So like Marvel's been doing a great job at being true to the characters while still not being loyal to the patriarchy. So I love that.
I do think, and people correct me if I'm wrong in the chats, I do think there was a version of a Spider-Man series where Aunt May did say the line and it wasn't Uncle Ben. I'm pretty sure. People correct me if I'm wrong.
There's so much Spider-Man out there that's got to be true.
No, it's what was nice about this one, because of that. I've heard people say that what we got was a 3-part Spider-Man origin movie, because at the end, right, he's on his own and making his own suits, no support from anybody, right? Like that. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, if there's any group of people who just gloss over mistakes and won't write in about it, it's definitely comic book nerds. So I'm certain
correct us.
We'll find out if there are other references.
Let us know. And if it was
Here come the emails.
What volume, what issue was it in? Yeah. Another point.
There's that 2-word phrase that nerds love.
What is that?
Well, actually.
Am I not a nerd now if I didn't know that phrase? I often accompany it with a little like running my finger up my nose. Well, actually.
Oh my gosh, I just realized none of us wear glasses.
I wear contacts.
Oh, stud.
I wear glasses at night. Thank you. All right. I'm going to jump back a little. You jump me forward. It's totally fine. So after learning that all of the surprise guests who showed up would be killed upon returning to their world, Doctor Strange says it, has to be that way. But Peter pushes back, thinking there must be another way. And we haven't had any like big fights yet at that point, aside from like the bridge scene. But Peter, like hearing about their past and seeing their struggles, still says that he needs to do what he can to help them. And this was after the Aunt May thing. So, yeah.
I also don't think that could have happened if Sandman hadn't been nice, hadn't protected him from Electro.
Oh, you think if all of them came in attacking, he would not have said we had. Well, they found out like in their conversations before this happened, they found out that all of them were about to die. Like they found out from the other people, well, you died right after that part, right? Like you're dead. You're not alive anymore. And he's like, oh yeah, I was just about to, I felt this great thing. And then I was here, right? Everybody sort of knows that as soon as they go back, their character's done. But except for Sandman, but he wants to get back to his daughter.
Barak, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you intentionally refer to them as like, I think you used the phrase like special guests?
Surprise guests.
Surprise guests. Yeah. It made me feel like, oh, here's Elijah. Oh, Elijah brought some friends, everybody. Look at the surprise.
Yes, well, it's not the Sinister Six. They were like, unless you count Venom, who stayed in Puerto Rico or where he was, right? Like what a ripoff of a teaser, but hysterical anyway. It really was like very much in character for the Eddie Brock of the Venom universe for them to be like just asking questions the whole time and then, all right, let's go do this, as the reporter finally has his information and then zap. Yeah.
Side note.
Yeah.
So we went from Sandman to the Sinister Six and Venom and stuff, but the first time Spider-Man fought Venom, do you know how he defeated him?
In the comics?
Yeah.
Was it fire? No?
A vacuum cleaner.
No, really?
What?
They should have used that in the movie.
Right?
So that's very funny. So okay, I just threw that we jumped around a little bit, but that was one thing that I enjoyed of that, even though that's what we jumped away from. You said because Sandman helped him, that's why he was willing to. I think it's because he found out they're all going to die and that he's knowingly going to send them back to their deaths. I think that's what pulled him a little bit.
I think it's both.
Sure.
I think that because I think because he had that kindness shown to him,
yeah,
he knew that there was goodness in them. That the Mensch was in there.
Yeah, I love that about, and there's a bunch of superheroes that have that innate like do the good thing regardless, and I really am happy that they're doing that with this Peter Parker Spider-Man. They've all had their struggles. We won't talk about Spider-Man 3. But his like, and I think it came from Aunt May in that conversation earlier a little bit of like, that's the way that she raised him. Essentially, this is just, we help them, which we just do that. Anybody, I mean, I have other stuff, but anybody have other things they want to like throw out in this midst of the conversation?
I think that also, again, this is going to be a spoiler alert at the end of the movie when Peter went into the donut shop to talk to MJ, up until that moment, the plan that I thought was in his head was, I'm going to find you and we're going to fall in love again. Yeah. And I think that moment where he realized she didn't need to be a part of it. She had this peaceful life hanging out with Ned, going to MIT. Like she had her whole life ahead of her. And if he were to be in her life as a partner and with her knowing who he was, that was just putting her at risk, putting her at danger. Yeah. And it was a huge act of menschlichkeit to walk away. and say thanks for the coffee.
Yeah, I don't think I hope I'm wrong. I don't think we're going to get this MJ and Ned again. I think they're done. They're off to MIT, and we're going to get his college career in New York. Well, maybe he's taking the what's he take, the GMATs? What is it? What's the test? He's taking the like post high school degree. And no, it's in the box. People are shouting at the audio right now. GRE. He's taking it's the GRE. In the box, it's studying for the GRE because his identity doesn't exist anymore. He's got to do that. But he's going to now be either in college, maybe, and then we'll get the Lizard and some other people, or he is just freelance working to survive instead of going to school because he's got to pay. How he's going to pay for school at this point without any background?
Well, in that universe, in that universe, isn't he now a major shareholder in Stark Enterprises?
Parker?
Yeah. Oh, but he doesn't have his identity anymore. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't.
Complicated.
Yeah, right. Happy to know who.
Way to go, Kevin Feige.
Yeah. But I don't think we're gonna get MJ or Ned anymore. I think we'll probably get this world's. He's got so many. Betty Brant or, and any of the other love interests that we've seen or haven't seen yet. And maybe then we'll get our own Harry Osborn best friend as opposed to Ned. Although part of me wants him to come back. There's that theory that he's going to be the Hobgoblin, and especially with his recent magic that happened in this one. But if they're all the way up at MIT and he's in New York, where is that connection? What's the pull back for them? Unless it's pre going to college
or there's summer break.
Yeah, I think more likely we're going to get there's Hawkeye took place in New York. Right. We're going to get Miss Marvel, who's in Jersey City, right across the bay.
We got America Chavez now.
Is she based in New York?
She's
with Doctor Strange,
in the multiverse. But yeah.
But there's a lot more. There's a lot of superheroes that are now building their space in New York City. That I think that's more what we'll get is maybe some overlap on that side and him interacting with some people that way. Because they really
I'd love to see
Felicia
Hardy. I'd love to see Felicia Hardy.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be great.
As we go back and talk about I definitely buy the interpretation that Peter's plan when he walks into the shop is very different from what he decides to do, and I think we're in a way we're talking about the intersection of morals and values of which Judaism clearly has a lot of. And I thought it was an incredible movie, but I was also left with this sense of wondering, would I have been able to do that? Would I have really been able to do that myself? And my honest answer is I don't know. And I mean, normally I look at these larger than life superhero movies, but this movie in particular was one that really stuck with me afterwards. And I really was asking questions of myself and what sacrifices would I have been willing to make if I was in that situation.
Do you think you would have interrupted Doctor Strange 5 times during his spell causing this? I probably would have been a doormat being it's fine. Just keep, it's okay. Just
so that's the thing. I definitely would not have interrupted Doctor Strange. So maybe it's a moot point, but in that particular scenario, we're talking about being a mensch or not, I don't know. I don't know if I could have done that.
Yeah.
Both in terms of making that sacrifice, as well as not immediately going to my love interest and being hey, this is going to be weird, but guess who I am? And
well, even it's really nice that they brought him all the way to the other side after Aunt May was killed, and that he was really ready to kill the Green Goblin, to kill Norman Osborn, and the other Spider-Man had to step in and just hold him off. That if he didn't do that, he likely would have gone through with it, and we would have had a terrible situation.
Is it Spider-Man or is it Spider's Man?
I think it's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
So they're not attorneys general.
Or it's not smichut like in Hebrew where you pluralize the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
Like b'nai mitzvah.
Right. Maybe we could from now on we should just call them in honor of Jewish grammar for RDY Spider's Man.
Spider's
Yeah,
Man.
Spider's Man.
Great. Yeah, no, all the Spiders, man, were great.
Although
we're talking
in
about-
Hebrew it's ish achavish, so it would be anshe achavish. In Hebrew, it would be man's spider.
Oh, so so instead of men, we should say man's. It's not. It's okay. So we've said at the end, when all is said and done, and all the villains are unvillainized, and Doctor Strange like wipes everybody's knowledge that he's Peter Parker and Spider-Man. He is just alone. He's got no family, no friends, no support, no identity, and he is just a mensch. He is just a person, and an unidentified person with nobody knowing anything about him, no help from anywhere, and he decides that he still has to just do what he can. Like he's completely free, like fresh slate at anything, and even with all of that trauma that he just went through, like seemingly takes no time and starts on this new venture to create his new suit and find a place to live, to go back out there and do what he can because he's got the responsibility to do so. And he takes it on. Yeah, I think it's, yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Although,
yes.
it could be argued that, no matter what kind of a mensch you are, you can't be Jewish alone. You need other people, others to join with, to form community, like that's what's sacred for us is forming community and being with others.
Well, I think that part of this is the action towards other people is what we're talking about, right? You can, I guess, be a mensch unto yourself and treat yourself, give yourself time to recuperate and the mental space you need and all those things. But I think a lot of this conversation is really more focused on you're doing actions unto somebody, something else.
So I don't know where I'm going with this yet, but follow me for a second. The moment that everyone forgets who Peter Parker is he still Peter Parker with the identity of Spider-Man, or is he Spider-Man who now has the identity of Peter Parker?
I don't know what creative writing they're going to get out of this, how they're going to undo this, because I'm going to assume he's paying for this apartment in cash, but he's taking the GREs. What name is he using and what form of identification is he going to give them? Because it seems that unless it's just that people don't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but it seems like, right, if he's taking the GREs, then his high school career is wiped and that Peter Parker doesn't exist. So I don't know.
Just because it's not that he doesn't exist, it's that they don't know who they are. Like you never know who anyone is until you meet them. So
yeah, but the system doesn't know who he is. He's got to reintroduce himself to the Social Security system.
Probably. I don't know that I would make myself crazy digging that deep, but but there, the idea that, hey, he could use his old ID and, here you go. It's not, most people aren't going to, I guess schools do, but most, if he needs to meet somebody or get a job, it's not like they're going to do all the digging.
Yeah. Maybe Matt Murdock helps him out again or something, or.
Yeah. Well, Matt Murdock doesn't know who he is anymore.
No, I know, but he's a lawyer that might have an inclination from his senses that he's something extra. Like you could rediscover that he's the person.
Can we talk Daredevil for a minute? Another one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's Matt Murdock.
Is that okay with you, everybody? Pause and let us know. Yeah. Oh, yes, it's okay. Go ahead, argue. They said it's fine.
I absolutely loved that like so not enough, so left me wanting more.
Yeah.
But that moment where Matt caught the brick.
Yeah.
And how'd you do that? I'm a good lawyer. But also that like the only reason he caught it and not Peter Parker was because he was closer to it, because Peter had his hand too.
Yeah.
So that idea of stepping up, like it doesn't, even if someone's there to step up, you step up.
Right. Yeah. Fun fact on that. I heard this in an interview thing. That brick was originally a snow globe as like an homage to Mysterio. And so if you look closely, Matt Murdock's hand is curved for the CG snowball, and Parker's hand is also rounded to catch
You're gonna catch a
snow globe,
Oh.
as opposed to the brick. And so like they edited it well that you can't really tell, but they like stopped it and zoomed in, and you're like, oh yeah, it looks like his hand's curved. But that's a little neat thing. It was supposed to be like a Mysterio thing from somebody outside.
Clever.
For our viewers at home, Barak was holding his hand and curving it. I'm sorry you couldn't see it.
Thank you. Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about on Spider-Man? Well, No Way Home while we're here.
I need to go watch it again now.
The tear in the sky. I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff of like theories of who's in the sky, and now they've already like announced, right, that we're getting a Kraven the Hunter movie, which I thought was going to be in this one. I think I have a post from a while ago that I really thought that Kraven the Hunter was going to be the one to try to track him down after his identity was revealed. I was really hoping for that.
I've made a lot of incorrect predictions.
But they had the Rhino from Amazing Spider-Man 2. They had people have guessed. Well, it looks like that Scorpion. And
they didn't have the Rhino. They mentioned him.
No. He was one of the images in the tear in the sky.
Oh, one of the images. Right. There was the silhouette. You're right.
Yeah. There's a lot of. Oh, it wasn't Lizard. I'm sorry. Scorpion was the one in the silhouettes.
For sure.
And then there's like other ones that I'd like. People say one of them is Madam Web. I sort of see it, but I heard rumors there's things that we're getting a Madam Web movie in a number of years. But I'm like
Kraven the Hunter would be good for Black Panther too.
Well, they've already Kraven the Hunter is getting his own movie. It's Aaron Taylor Johnson, the one who played Quicksilver, which is like going to be a weird. I wonder if like I'm just going to wait to see if Kraven ends up meeting Wanda, and then they've got another like WandaVision situation of like you look familiar, right? But to bring him back so soon after Age of Ultron, it feels so soon after Age of Ultron. I think it was like 2012.
I'm going to predict for no reason at all that's not going to happen.
I think you're right. I don't. That's like too on the nose after WandaVision. Yeah. Any other things from Spider-Man No Way Home before we wrap this thing up?
Just that it was such a delightful movie, like start to and my perception is very colored. This was the first movie I saw in theaters since the pandemic, and I wore a KN95 the whole time. I didn't take it off. I didn't do popcorn or anything.
Yeah, and I double masked for that movie.
Yeah, but it was just delightful. The movie itself was delightful. The experience of being in a theater with other people was so much fun.
I'll see that. Sorry, finish.
I was just saying, it was in my mind. I mean, I think all three of the like current era Spider-Man films have just been phenomenal. But this one in particular, I thought was special. It was really
top notch.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm going to add to that my wife and I went with two of our three children, and they had both already seen it, and my wife and I like to sit next to each other in the movies and hold hands and be married and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, my children were adamant that the two children who were with us, they wanted to sit on either side of me. And anytime they knew something was coming, I could feel their heads both just slowly turn towards me to watch my reaction. And I was hooting and hollering and crying. And I mean, I was the guy you don't want to go to a movie with during that movie.
I think the weird thing right now about going to movies with now as of today, like people are not wearing masks as often as they were back at Spider-Man No Way Home. So Spider-Man No Way Home, you didn't get all the gasps and the like those, or like laughter or shocks. Like you couldn't hear those muffled things because everybody had a mask on. So like I wanted more shock and awe when Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield showed up, and it just was a lot quieter than I was expecting. I realized it was just because of the masks that people
maybe.
I don't know what you're talking about. I live in Texas, and I definitely heard people reacting. I don't know why.
It was a great movie. I loved it. We don't have a rating system set up for Torah Smash, so I don't know how we can rate it out of.
I think it gets three Baraks.
Out of what?
7.
Out of 3.
3 out of 7.
No, I just picking random numbers. No, it was a phenomenal movie. 10 out of 7.
10 out of 7. That's
10
nice.
out of 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it is a complete smash.
Yeah. Oh, very nice.
I think
Very nice.
that's
I
the
would agree.
winner.
This was it was a fantastic movie. And I'm glad that we went on this journey. So I hope that every one of you listening realizes that you have power. You have many different abilities. It means that you have the responsibility to do what you can for others or even for the world. So go out and don't worry about being good or bad or successful or a failure. Just focus on being a person, Mensch. And return the shopping carts to the corral. I think that's the message to take home from this episode. That's all I want, people. Just return your shopping cart to the corral. You walk 3 miles to the store, 20 feet.
If you're in public anywhere near me at a grocery store, I am judging you by how you treat your shopping cart. I am totally judging, because the barometer for a good person is, do they put the cart all the way back? Do they leave it with the car? Do they, do they take the broken one and just put it right in front so the next person gets it? It tells you.
Listen,
a lot about
that was one of my dating profile prompts for a while.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was something like, I forget what the exact thing was. It was something like, I judge people who don't put their shopping cart back.
Yeah, it's all about being a mensch. I think that's it. I think that is a wrap for this one. So that'll do it for this episode of Torah Smash. Our theme music was created by Sean Fogel. You can check out Sean's bands and studio work at www.thesleepywest.com. Today's episode was sponsored by Congregation B'nai Tzedek, a Reform synagogue in Fountain Valley, California. Their super congregation and amazing rabbi are always ready to welcome new members, spiritual seekers, or just curious people who want to experience an amazing Shabbat service. Anyone who wants to come in and pray with them in peace will always be welcomed with great love. Congregation B'nai Tzedek is where you matter. You can learn more about Congregation B'nai Tzedek in our show notes. We want to hear from you and continue today's nerdy discussion, so go to torahsmash.com to find where to connect with us online, email us directly, find previous episodes, and more. And as we end, you may be thinking this would be a good time to get Jewish, but that's our secret. We're always Jewish.